You're listening to Disrobing the Mosh Pit, a dissection of music and popular culture, with your hosts, Pete and Tom.
Feels good to be back.
Oh, doesn't it what?
Yeah, have you been, Pete, all right?
Yeah, good, thanks, Tom. Like, just surviving the heat.
Yeah, oh my God. Yeah. What kind of heat is that, eh?
It's unbelievable.
Was it 32 today?
Something like that.
All
it feels tropical.
All we can do in this house is just lie around in the wind. The annoying thing about it is the wind just blows all the doors around, so you can't really have them locked open.
I thought you were wearing Moroccan slacks tonight.
Every night, I think, in this weather.
I was half expecting it.
That's what I call commando weather. This 32 degrees plus. Yeah.
That's it.
No, I don't know how long it's going to last for, but I think we're in for a break later on anyway.
Oh,
but I don't know if you saw, but Wellington was like 18 degrees or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which made me feel pretty happy, made me feel a bit better about things.
Yeah. I mean, are you in one of those camps that likes really hot weather or really cold weather? Or has it changed as you've gotten older? I'm
in the camp where I start hating the season that I'm in at the very end of it. And I'm really, really ready for a change.
So you're about mediocre at the moment?
Yeah. I hang out for rainy, stormy days at the end of summer. I hang out for balmy weather like this at the end of winter. I hang out for the smells and that kind of stuff that come with autumn. And I hang out for, I don't know, just the feeling in the air with spring and that kind of stuff. I'm a bit of a romantic, really, aren't I?
You are, really?
Yeah, sensory romantic.
I'm just looking forward to the
cells.
The smells, and the feeling.
The barrage,
the warm
the senses.
Rain.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So tonight's episode, we're looking at something, and this is a little bit of a phenomenon, isn't it? This kind of subject matter. We're taking a musical slant on it, but this subject that you've sort of put forward tonight, it's kind of random people, the people that you don't expect are deeply invested in today. My wife is one,
and mine too.
Yeah, isn't it interesting? So tell us what you've chosen.
Well, we're looking at true crime, but true crime in the sphere of music, I guess, like true crime that may be potentially influenced by music or musicians or musos, as some people like to call it.
Man, there are some stories, because when you first said it, I was just sort of going, well, okay, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but then when I went to look some up that I had questions about, oh my God, it's just, some musicians have some really sordid histories. Either they were guilty or accused of wrongdoing, or they were just had it around them. But there's no shortage of material for this subject matter, is there?
What do you think people are so obsessed with true crime?
Oh, man, I don't know. Maybe it's this whole thing where you feel a little bit more vulnerable. The same reason we like horror. It's like to be scared. But I guess with true crime, it's like, oh my God, that actually happened. Yeah, that's why I sort of say that it's funny to see who's actually into it, because it's not necessarily who you expect. And you're going, I mean, my wife listens to it while she's running in the dark.
Is it the thrill? Do you think it's a thrill?
It must be. Hey, it must be. I mean, sure enough, she's got a big dog with her, but still, it's like, oh man, I would be scared. Yeah, I would be.
I'm petrified just thinking of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and there's some real dark podcasts talking about it,
It is that sort of morbid fascination, or the sort of the fascination with the macabre. I remember when we lived in Christchurch, and we went up and had a look at the site of, what was that? It was a movie with Kate Winslet and
Heavenly Creatures.
Yeah,
cool.
So we went up to, I think it's Victoria Park in Christchurch, just to see if we can find the site, that it actually happened.
Peter Jackson.
Yeah, and there's just something sort of like slightly thrilling about it, about being there, like at the site. I mean, it's tragic and it's horrible.
Well, what happened?
These two, you know what happened in the Heavenly Creatures?
Oh, was that based on a true story?
That's true.
Oh,
that actually happened in Christchurch.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Where they actually put a brick in a stocking, etc., etc.
Oh my God, yeah, I don't know my film history.
Man, you really need to invest.
Yeah, because I've seen it, but I wasn't aware that I was looking at a true story.
Yeah, no, that's a true story. Yeah.
Wow.
So we went up to the park where it happened.
Wow.
Yeah. And there's something sort of like, as I was saying, like quite thrilling about the macabre.
Yeah.
Even though it's extremely tragic.
Yeah.
There's sort of a real fascination behind it.
That's right, yeah, morbid fascination. Oh, geez. And so what I noticed when I started looking these up was that it goes from, I guess, like the most egregious of criminal offences, and what I was looking at was, I guess, not just musicians, being the guilty party, but being in that kind of environment, having stuff done to them as well.
Yeah.
And it ranges, of course, from your misdemeanours to your first-degree murders and that kind of stuff.
Misdemeanours tends to be a fairly common occurrence amongst musicians. Most
totally.
artists, actually.
Yeah,
At some point or another, they tend to get wrapped up in some sort of felony with drugs or alcohol or something.
Or being strapped, having a gun going to the airport.
Yeah, because we all need a gun to go to the airport.
Yeah.
There's important things to be done there, right?
Yeah,
Do you
absolutely.
reckon people that do that in America, everyone thinks they're Bruce Willis?
Yeah.
That they're hoping that something like that's going to happen. That, that terrorists are going to like start taking over the airport, or Nakatomi Tower siege is going to happen. But it's all right. I've got my handgun like in my jacket, even though I'm like, I weigh 300 pounds and I can move like an elephant.
And maybe especially around Christmas time when the Die Hard reruns start showing.
Have you started watching that?
I'm about to.
Yeah, I started this week.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. I'm going to check it out tonight. So I might kick it off, if I may.
Please.
With an interesting tale of woe. And we're going into Motown. Okay, for this particular one. It's the story of Marvin Gaye and his death, the tragedy surrounding his death. Do you know much about it?
No, but fill me in.
Okay, so I've known about this for a little while, and the thing that I guess shocked me about it the most was that he just seemed like the most wonderful person. Couldn't hurt a fly. Whenever you see him, he's smiling, looking very joyous, all that kind of stuff. But he had this very turbulent relationship with his dad.
Right.
And I think his dad was, from what I could tell, kind of his dad was resentful of the fact that Marvin didn't, that he had a career in music and all that kind of thing. But randomly, his father was like a cross-dresser, I think. This is in Washington.
Right.
And I think Marvin got hassled about it at school. Bit of a sore point.
Right.
Their relationship was pretty strained, actually. So Marvin and his father, I think whose name was also Marvin Gaye Sr., they had a real turbulent relationship. Marvin Gaye Sr. Was not nice to Marvin's mum. And I think after he was, well and truly famous, he'd just come back from some kind of maybe it's after he released Sexual Healing.
Right.
And he'd gone home and he was sort of nursing his mother through something, and he had an argument with his dad, and his dad shot him 3 times and killed him.
His dad did?
His dad did. Isn't that weird? Because not many people actually kind of know that without sort of looking it up. But it's one of these crazy things.
Wow, I did not know that.
Such a prolific artist, incredible artist.
When was this?
I think it was in 1984. I'm pretty sure it was 1984.
Wow.
From the top of my head. I haven't got notes in front of me, but yeah, it was then.
That's pretty good off the top of your head, Tom.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
That's what you get for looking it up 5 minutes before.
Well done. Well done, you. You got 7, you got 6 more pieces of information. Isn't it like 7 in your short-term memory?
Yeah, I've forgotten a few recipes to fit those ones in. So, no, but isn't that tragic?
That's incredibly tragic. And quite surprising that is the dad murdering the son as opposed to the other way around after such a sort of like a... Because the way I was sort of expecting it to come across is the other way around, had quite a tormented sort of childhood.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't expect the dad to be...
That surely must be incredibly rare. Incredibly rare, eh?
Yeah, I would say so.
Because what do you call it? Patricide, right? Killing your father. But what's the opposite?
There'll be a name for it.
Yeah, I don't know.
The Spartan 300?
Spartan. Yeah, they had some interesting methods, didn't they? So that was one thing that I was kind of, because these are the background stories, and they're not immediately at the forefront of that, I don't know, that person's public persona. But yeah, next time you listen to Marvin Gaye, spare a thought for how he died. And I'm not sure what his grave is, but the whole thing's very tragic. Yeah, isn't that
that is very tragic.
Horrific. Yeah. So what about you? Who are you checking out, Pete?
Well, The one that I was thinking of was Sid Vicious and the murder of his partner at the time, Nancy Spungen, in 1978.
Sex Pistols,
Sex Pistols, yeah. So Sid Vicious was the bass player for the Sex Pistols. I think they were pretty controversial even at the time in 1978.
Yeah.
And I know that Sid Vicious was very was quite troubled with drug use and alcohol abuse. In this particular case, Sid Vicious woke up in the morning to find that his partner was dead on the bathroom floor in their hotel, and she'd been stabbed and then bled to death.
Jeez.
And Sid Vicious was actually arrested for her murder.
My first thought was OD. Hey,
Yeah.
Interesting. Carry on.
And then under testimony, he said that he did actually stab her, but didn't mean to kill her.
As you do.
And that at one point he said that she'd fallen on the knife.
Oh dear, that never works, Sid.
No. So yeah, it didn't sound that good. And I think Sid Vicious was obviously, I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe in a drunken, drug-fueled rage or stupor or something that happened. But that's fairly tragic. And there's always been a lot of controversy surrounding that entire case.
Do you know how the band fared after that? Was that the beginning of the end for them?
I think it was the beginning of the end for him.
Because Johnny Rotten's still around, eh?
Yeah.
Being rotten. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if he kept on going, but yeah, I mean, I think he was convicted of it, potentially.
I feel like some bands from that era, right? Like, I mean, I guess like everyone's got those stories in there. You don't tend to hear about it so much these days. It's probably a little bit more hidden, but you hear people like your Keith Moons, John Bonhams, not just drummers, Tommy Lee,
Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But I guess like Sid Vicious, I mean, he seemed to me like one of those ones that would go down to this sort of spiral of debauchery. But he actually, I don't know if he was a very nice person, was he?
Well, I mean, I don't know him personally, Tom. I couldn't tell you myself.
Well, you don't hear any stories of him being...
He was certainly not taking flowers around to schools.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I wasn't aware of that. That was probably one of the things that was the beginning at the end for the Sex Pistols. Eh?
Yeah.
Isn't it funny what you sort of hear about a group like that and then you just... It's this one giant thing that probably should dominate their whole story, and then you don't really hear about it at all.
You find that they have quite a massive PR department, though, that sort of work towards that. And certainly, I imagine we're a big label sort of involved.
Yeah,
I tend to try and sweep a lot of those sorts of things under the carpet.
Yeah.
For right or for wrong, definitely for wrong, in my opinion. But it tends to sort of happen more often than not.
Makes for a juicy biopic, eh?
Money's king, you see. Yeah, totally. Later on down the track.
Yeah. Speaking of your misdemeanours, your petty crimes.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
If we go to the topic of marijuana, maybe just of weed, and I guess just how common that is with artists, and artists, I suppose, getting sprung with a little bit on them or getting caught, videoed on stage, smoking and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
I kind of feel like Snoop's turned that into his identity, hasn't he? Snoop's pretty much nailed that.
The drug usage.
Yeah, well, the weed especially. You hear these urban myths, like, I mean, it might actually be true, that he pays someone like $40K a year to just roll his joints for him.
Really?
Yeah, I've heard that. Have you heard that?
No, I haven't, but now. Okay.
Well, I was looking up, actually, I had read about it before, but this is an interesting case where we have Phil Rudd, who was the old drummer. He's a Kiwi from Tauranga, I think, and I don't know if he's still in Tauranga. I think he might be in prison. I probably should have checked that. But so one thing that happened earlier on in the last sort of 5 years is that he got caught with 25 grams of weed on his launch.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is kind of odd, but that's not the only bad thing that he did. Because one of the things that he did is he actually tried to organise a hit on a former assistant. And
an assistant?
A former assistant. Yeah.
Right.
He tried to pay someone to kill this old assistant of his.
That's pretty
Interesting,
random.
eh?
Well, what did she do?
I don't
He
know.
do?
I don't know. I don't know if it was a she or a he. I'm not sure, but he got caught for it. I don't think he was very clever about it. He was probably stoned at the time, let's face it. But you got to be pissed off with that, right? 25 grams of weed found on your launch, your private launch. He's got to have done well from his ACD. Sorry, if I didn't say so before, the drummer for AC/DC. Probably the cushiest gig in the business for a drummer, pretty much. I think if you look at his drum kit, it's got like ashtrays everywhere. He's just always got a cig. He doesn't drum for them anymore, of course, because he's in prison. But I think he's just always got a cigarette hanging out of his mouth, just playing that boom, just like laying it down on the floor, just grooving real hard.
Yeah.
So he got in trouble for ordering a hit on someone. Now, that's something that I haven't heard very often before with the artist, well, actually anyone doing outside of the movies.
Was he living in Tauranga at the time?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Who do you go to order a hit?
God knows.
Do you like look it up in the yellow pages?
Someone who is not very trustworthy and will tell the police.
Just go and see Phil outside the dairy and go and see,
Yeah. Well, he owns a restaurant as well, or owned a restaurant there.
Really?
And he was notorious grumpy bastard, coming in and just yelling at the kitchen staff. So you heard these horror stories. These bloody drummers, man.
I know one of them. And what a horror piece he is.
It's just awful. Yeah, just awful. Yeah, and I mean, I guess like weed is one of those things where I don't know. It's kind of. I mean, most people have their brush with it in high school and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And some artists have gotten away with just that, of course. So like one of whom was Bowie, was David Bowie, who had this mugshot that resurfaced in someone's house when they were cleaning it. And it was this person, I think they were from the LAPD, and they had this mugshot of a very, very young David Bowie who got caught and charged with possession of marijuana. And it looked like it was in maybe the 70s.
Right.
Like the mid-70s. So a bit of a slap on the wrist and a light fine. But
how many musicians do you think have a mugshot?
Oh, man. Yeah, kind of a few. No, I'm not sure. The thing is, I guess, and we've talked about it a bit, when you're on tour, I think, and you have this constant repetition and you just are on it all the time, like after the shows, as they used to be. I think it's a bit different now. But they would just drink and just, you hear the things, throwing TVs out windows and, verbally abusing people walking down the street. And I guess you'd be in this frame of mind like, I'm invincible, on the road, getting hammered every night, getting praised by everyone. I can do what I want. And I guess there'd be quite a few that would have mugshots for sure.
Surely. I mean, you look at, there's a documentary, that Foo Fighters documentary that came out a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And when they're talking about, they play, I don't know, how many shows a year, like they got this massive itinerary that goes for like 18 months and they basically play like, 2 shows a week or 3 shows a week or something all year. And they sort of like, you get halfway through the tour and you're thinking, they're playing the same set list, same songs over and over and over and over again. And they've got to try and come up with ways to keep it, to keep themselves excited. Because, I suppose when you step out on stage, you have to show that sort of persona that you're thrilled to be there and that you're really enjoying playing the songs. But I suppose if you've been playing them thousands and thousands of times, it'd be really difficult to get yourself up for it, eh?
Yeah. And I think that most musicians would probably say that when they're on stage, they feel probably pretty good. Like that's the best part of touring. But you keep hearing stories. There's a classic video of Michael Jackson, I think, like he's in an interview, and someone's saying, like, oh, he's talking about a tour, and he's saying, oh, I hate touring. I actually just hate touring. I like performing, but it's the rest of it I just can't stand. I just want to be home. And the guy goes, oh, can you just say that you love it? And he goes, yeah, sure. I love touring. I love, very sarcastically. Yeah. He's just kind of taking the piss. But I think most people make no secret of the fact that they just hate being kind of away from. It's quite rare to find artists that are just like live for the touring.
Yeah. I suppose for the first part, it'd be quite novel, wouldn't it? Like if you're like in hotel rooms and you're traveling around on a bus and it'd be just real mint, like new venues. Oh, new places are awesome. But I can totally see how that would wear thin. It'd be like kind of like going to Green Meadows New World every day, like day after day after day after day, you know. After a while, that starts grinding on you, you know.
Yeah, man.
To buy the same bag of salad and the rotisserie chicken or something. You know?
Yeah,
You're doing that
yeah.
every single day.
Yeah. I think with touring, that what you're talking about, the repetition, the same faces would be like your bandmates, you know?
Yeah.
And the food, the on the road food. And the endless, if you're in the States, maybe the endless stretches of tarmac, you know, just going for miles and miles and miles. And lots of musicians have written songs about that as well. There's a great documentary, it's a short one on YouTube that Meshuggah did, the Swedish metal band, and they're touring through India, doing shows in India, and they're just hating life. They like performing, but they're just like, well, they're not too bad. It's just the guitarist. One of the guitarists is talking to the camera. He's just saying, I hate touring. Just want to be with my family back in Sweden. But so you can sort of see why they'd resort to a bit of escapism after the show. Maybe get busted with some Class A stuff. Maybe smash a shop window, end up getting your mugshot taken.
Yeah, because you're sort of like driven. I mean, let's be honest. It's kind of a first world problem, really.
Yeah,
in fairness.
Totally. Yeah.
But yeah, you can kind of understand it to that sort of degree where it's like you kind of need something to kind of almost to keep yourself sane, you know, in a lot of ways. Yeah. Yeah.
When you're on the road with someone who's like an addictive personality as well, that's pretty not awesome. I mean, in my short time doing touring and that kind of stuff, because I've done it full time for a little while. And I've worked with some people, and it's just like, oh man, when they start getting that look in their faces, you're just like, if you're in a different country, well, in a country other than New Zealand, you just think to yourself, man, I'm going to end up with machine guns being pointed at my face by the police, you know?
Is that a bit of like an insecure feeling when you are touring like that? Like for someone like yourself, where you know, you've gone overseas, you're well outside of your comfort zone in terms of home comforts. And then things start going, I want to say mildly awry, or things are not quite, you know, and you kind of like, well, you sort of like feel like you've got no backstop, you know.
Can't speak the language.
You can't speak the language, you know, you sort of like, you almost feel like you're slightly more high and dry as opposed to, you know, if you played down at the local hall down here or the pub.
Yeah, I think the ingredients are real key. And so it's very hard to get the right ingredients for people who feel the same way, who are like, yeah, we're just going to have a quiet meal out somewhere. Or we're all going to go crazy and we'll have some minders or something like that. But I've encountered a couple of situations. I've had a couple of situations happen where I might be the one who's saying, okay, this is getting a bit out of hand. We're like bar hopping in a place where we don't know where we are and we don't know the language, and you're getting smart to people, and if we get in trouble, I don't know what we're going to do. And I think that happened once or twice. And then I was like, with a couple of people who were like that, I was just like, oh guys, I'm just not going to go out anymore. And babysitting, it kind of feels like babysitting, because it's really weird for New Zealanders to have guns pointed at them, eh?
Yeah, I can't say I've ever had that happen.
Yeah, I've had it happen a couple of times now, and it is very weird.
You've had guns pointed at you?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, by police.
Where at? Oh, you don't have to name the country.
In China.
Oh, wow, really?
Yep, in Hong Kong as well, kind of China. But yeah.
What were you doing?
Well, it's what they were doing. He was breaking something. He was like, this person that I was with was getting aggressive with someone.
Wow.
And there are guards kind of all over the place with automatic weapons. Yeah.
That's quite freaky.
Yeah. And then another time we were in an airport and he was getting aggressive. A different guy was getting aggressive with the hotel staff. Sorry, the airport staff. And they just pull him out, diffuse the sitch, you know.
Wow.
Which it did. Yeah, which was quite good. Might be a little bit, this was it might have been pre 2012, you know. So from 2000, it was from between 2005 to 2012. Times in there, and they're probably now they're maybe a little bit more reluctant to pull weapons out. I'm not sure. I don't know actually. It depends what kind of country you're in. But yeah, no, it's not very nice, eh?
No.
So I think there will be people who are like that, musicians, and I think it's just the traveling and the repetition could, I think, drive you to doing some pretty stupid things. So in a roundabout way, back to this mugshots topic, then they probably find themselves in a situation, yes, they'll take something, yes, they'll follow someone somewhere, and yeah, but then again, you were talking about some people before had done some pretty bad stuff, hey?
Yeah. So,
which is not really like a wrong place, wrong time kind of thing.
No,
more like a very premeditated.
Certainly the people that I've sort of, I wouldn't say fully researched, but certainly looked up. The one that I was looking at was Phil Spector. And, Phil Spector was the gentleman that came up, should I even call him a gentleman? But the man who came up with the Wall of Sound. Yeah, quite famous for it, eh? I think he worked with the Beatles and quite a few other things. And anyway, he was found guilty of murdering a lady in France, I believe. Oh no, was it? No, in California. And he shot her basically.
Why?
I don't know. I don't even think he really knows. But quite hot-headed, I think, Phil Spector. I do remember the trial of Phil Spector, which was back in the early 2000s.
So give me his backstory. Did you say he worked with?
So he's quite a legendary music producer.
Oh, yeah.
And he came up with, as I say, like quite a full sort of sound. I'm not sure if prior to this point there was it was quite a thin, sort of like just had the instruments and there weren't many overdubs.
Did you say he worked with the Beatles?
Yeah, I think so. I'll just have a quick squizzy, but I'm pretty sure he came up with that. Maybe it was like John Lennon or George Harrison. Might not have been the full Beatles.
You got to wonder, where it's kind of like, I guess, it's a fine line between artistic genius and kind of like off the rails, out of controlness. You know what I mean? You can sort of see how you have artists that are so eccentric, and it wouldn't be that far for them to do something kind of pretty crazy like that.
Yeah, totally.
The Sid Vicious. I mean, Sid Vicious was kind of the real deal, eh?
Yeah,
like he embodied that sort of anarchistic, kind of rebellious.
Yeah, exactly. For
thing.
what you imagine the Sex Pistols, you sort of like took it, like fully embodied what you'd imagine what the Sex Pistols would be doing. If you can imagine, Phil Spector did "You've Lost That Love and Feeling."
Okay,
so the huge kind of like
you lost that love and feeling,
like massive amount of overdubs, and it's quite a massiff sound. The Long and Winding Road.
Okay.
My Sweet Lord by George Harrison.
Okay.
All of that sort of thing. Eh?
So he shot his wife, did he?
No, it wasn't his wife. It was like an assistant, I think. Her name was Lana Clarkson. They went home in his limousine, and then he came out the back of the house with a gun, saying that I think I just shot her, and then he's saying that, oh no, it was an accidental suicide and that she kissed the gun, which sounded a bit dodgy. He was convicted of it.
Okay.
And then he died in prison in 2021.
Coincidence? Charles Manson listened to the Beatles?
Yeah, because that's another thing, isn't it? Charles Manson, influenced by the White Album, apparently.
Really?
Yeah.
He was a freaky guy, eh?
Yeah, I mean, he's whack, that dude.
Yeah. Did you see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
No.
Yeah, it's good. Alternate ending.
Oh, because does that reference a bit of the Charles Manson followers?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's kind of all about that. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. But you were talking about another guy in particular. It was particularly egregious.
Yeah, and a bit of a listener warning with this one. But there's a gentleman that used to be in a band called the Lost Prophets, and I don't know how many listeners would have heard of the band Lost Prophets. They're quite big through the sort of early 2000s. Anyway, he was convicted of child pornography charges. Yeah. And I don't even know if I really want to say, but he is organising to oh yes, to meet in person. Yeah, awful stuff. Very awful. And he was obviously found guilty and convicted, and that was definitely the end of the Lost Prophets. But that sounded absolutely awful.
You got to wonder how he managed to hide that from people, and how whether or not people had some kind of an inkling of stuff was going on, or there's a bit of darkness out there, eh?
Yeah. There's definitely some mental issues there.
Yeah.
You would imagine.
That's full on.
That's really full on. Quite horrendous.
And to be honest, I can't think of heaps of other. I mean, there's the whole R. Kelly thing, and the R. Kelly sort of carry on. And then
is it still going, the R. Kelly thing?
I think he just got found guilty for a bunch of stuff, didn't he? Yeah,
that rings a bell.
Don't know heaps about it, but it was in the last couple of months, right? That kind of happened. And then you hear about people with getting quite young. Yeah, I mean, basically getting. Yeah, there was a story with Jimmy Page, and I don't know if it was sort of hearsay. And you mentioned someone else earlier.
Yeah, Chuck Berry.
Chuck Berry,
14-year-old.
Yeah, back in the day, and there's that kind of awful stuff. And I guess you can kind of hear of that, but to be honest, you do hear a lot about murder happening around stuff like that, like the Phil Spector thing you were talking about and the Marvin Gaye stuff.
The thing I remember about Phil Spector, not so much the wall of sound, although, when you listen to the music that he produced, you can totally hear that. It was more his hairdos through his trial. Did you ever see any photos of that?
No.
Oh, man, you should Google it. Google it immediately. They were pretty wild.
Phil, is it Phill?
It's like Spector SP. Oh yeah, Phil, Phil, and Spector SPE. I think it's KT.
I just looked it up. Oh yeah. No, he looks super dodgy.
Yeah, there's definitely he's eccentric. Let's put it that way.
Dodgy AF. Yeah, he's got some real. Whoa. Yeah, his hair's. There's literally no two photos with the same hairstyle.
No.
That's nuts. So with the murder thing, it's been pretty big with the rap game, eh? And one particularly high-profile case, of course, being that of the Biggie Tupac kind of West Coast, East Coast rivalry.
Do you know much about that one?
So I used to listen to that sort of stuff a little bit when I was at high school, but didn't really ever get right into Pac and Biggie, I have to say, until Biggie later on, like I think I've spoken about earlier. Biggie, but he was 24 when he got shot.
Really?
24. To achieve that kind of level of fame by the time he was 24.
He did not
was
look
pretty
24.
crazy. No, he looked like he was in his 40s. Absolutely. 20, that's so young though.
But then they all look like that now to us, because they're sort of like timeless.
Yeah.
Because there's that sort of like moment in time. It's like when you look at photos of Kurt Cobain and he's 27, was 25, 26, 27, and you think, God, he's such an adult. And even now, I'm 40 years old, and I look at Kurt Cobain, he's like, he's so much older than me. It's like, no, he's not.
That's a good point.
He's like 13 years younger than me.
Yeah. Biggie did look old though.
Yeah, he did look old.
He looked pretty old, but gunned down.
He wasn't wearing like polo shirts and Dockers shorts though, was he?
No.
Not that sort of dressing old.
No. He just kind of had that air about him, eh? I think he was an old soul. So 97, I think he was shot outside a club, I think. Retaliation for Tupac's death, they thought it was, which happened about 6 months earlier, I think. Same sort of style, that drive-by sort of thing happened in LA. And that kind of thing, it happens a lot with rappers, doesn't it? It happens heaps.
The gun murdering thing?
Yeah, well, it does. I mean, I guess like a lot of rappers who grow up in areas, and I guess emphasize the fact, emphasize gang rivalries and stuff like that in their lyrics, and talk about it. That seems to be a bit of a danger. There was one guy this XXX Tentacion.
Oh yeah, you've mentioned it before.
Yeah, who got shot outside a motorcycle shop, I think.
Right.
Yeah, but. Yeah, lots of those kinds of things kind of going on. I mean, the Park thing was pretty interesting. I don't think it was ever properly resolved. I don't think anyone really solved the thing of who shot him.
No, it's still shrouded in mystery, that one.
Yeah, that's one of the great unsolved. Do you know if they found out? They found the guy. They caught the guy that shot John Lennon, right?
Yeah. David Chapman.
Like straight away, right? He admitted to it.
He was like some sort of super fan.
Yeah,
deranged super fan. There's a quite famous photo of him getting an autograph from John Lennon, and it's probably it's maybe a year before he killed him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did he kill him?
He thought he was him.
Shit.
I believe that's what I've heard anyway. That he believed that John Lennon was impersonating. He was John Lennon, and that John Lennon was impersonating him, and shot him.
That's pretty next level.
I believe.
Something similar happened there with the old Dimebag.
Oh,
Dimebag
yeah.
Darrell. The guy jumped up on stage, accusing Dimebag of breaking up Pantera, shot him, was immediately shot a whole bunch of times by probably literally everyone at the gig was carrying a gun. You know, but yeah, he said because Dimebag had broken up his greatest love, which was Pantera.
Okay.
That's another one of those super tragic ones. Any funny crimes? You think of anything that's funny?
Nothing that springs to mind. Hey, you? Have you got anything there that?
Well, the weed on the barge thing's pretty funny.
Yeah.
And Phil Rudd being dumb enough to
He
try to...
He seems like such a weapon, that guy, eh?
Yeah, yeah.
He's a real sort of like the sort of like aging bogan rocker meat axe dude, eh? Like he's just his thinning hair, but it's like, it's time to cut your hair, man. Like, it's done. Like,
Yeah. Such a good drummer though, man. Like, it feels so good. You know? It's actually quite a bit harder than what people think, you know, laying it down that sweetly and that sort of solidly. So yeah, he's the man on the drums. But needs to maybe, you know, pick his hitmen a bit more carefully, I think, next time. I'm not sure what he's doing now.
yeah. Did he like choose an undercover police person?
I think the person might have gone to the cops afterwards and said, "Oh man, I don't know about this."
It's very strange to. I mean, it's strange to order a hit, A,
Yeah.
and B, you're ex-assistant. Like,
Yeah,
what did this person do?
Yeah, God knows.
This person
Yeah.
stole my CDs. I'm gonna have them shot dead. Like, oh my God, what's going on there?
Yeah, I guess we shouldn't be speculating about it, eh? Because it's kind of like...
Is it an open trial? Is it still going?
Well, no, it's not still going. I'm just kind of scared of Phil Rudd.
I'm not entirely sure that Phil Rudd would be listening to Strobing the Mosh Pit, but he might be. And if he is, hi.
If he is, we're sorry.
Yeah.
We'd actually quite like an autograph.
Hey, how about songs or musicians or crimes that have been influenced by music? Can you think of any off the top of your head?
Yeah, I can think of one, Nothing to Gain. Nothing to Gain, Gein, by Mudvayne. After Ed Gein, the serial killer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Can't remember if the song was, I think it might have just been like a narrative on that dude's kind of life. Pretty freaky.
Ed Gein.
Yeah.
Even have you seen Ed Gein's just mugshot?
Yeah, man.
He looks quite scary.
Yeah.
He looks like what you would imagine a serial killer to look like.
God, yeah. Yeah, there were some pretty nuts ones back then, eh? There was that one. What about you? Do you know some?
Oh no, I'm just thinking of the AC/DC song Night Stalker. You were talking about Phil Rudd before. Apparently that AC/DC song Night Stalker was inspiration for that guy Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker.
Shit, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Crazy, eh?
So what? That song was the night Richard Ramirez.
He said he was influenced by the AC/DC song
Really?
Night Stalker.
Oh man.
And I wonder if he was named the Night Stalker, or like his monkey was the Night Stalker. Surely that's coincidental that they named him that, and that he was influenced by that, because that wouldn't have come out until later, surely.
Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah.
You do hear these from time to time, people bringing up the music that criminals say they were listening to. Hey, like you hear about people listening to. There was one that was Slipknot, right? Slipknot. These kids were listening to Slipknot, and before they shot up a school or something like that.
Well, that was Marilyn Manson with the Columbine shooting.
That as well. I think there are a few different ones.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why is it always metal that seems to be pulled into that?
I don't know, because Buffalo Bill's character on Silence of the Lambs, he wasn't listening to metal. He was listening to 80s glam stuff, you know. And he was pretty freaky. It's funny with metal. I guess it's kind of just an easy target. You know what I mean?
It certainly is.
Particularly some of those ones where I guess some of the personnel make it a real feature of what they do, being rebellious and anarchistic and kind of satanic as well. There's been Mayhem. I think they might be Norwegian. Heaps of these black metal bands are Mayhem, and they burn down all these churches, and the bass player's name's Necro Butcher, and stuff like that, and they stab each other, and they've done all sorts of awful stuff. But I kind of feel like people listen to metal a lot of the time, not to get charged up about doing something really awful, but kind of as a bit of an outlet. I don't know, or maybe they do, but I don't feel like that's just metal is the only genre for kind of doing that.
I think it's unfairly tarnished by these sorts of things that have happened.
What's that movie? There's a movie that is like on a song that's on a horror movie, and I'm just looking it up now because it's like
is that
we spoke about that before.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's by A Sleepwalk by Johnny and Santo. Yeah. It's that's freaky, man. That's psychotic. Oh my God. There's something so dark about that, eh?
Really dark.
Really insidious and kind of just like, oh geez.
If you're listening, definitely look it up on Spotify. But have the lights on when you're listening to it, because it is. Even though it was never, I don't think it was never really written as a sort of a soundtrack to a horror.
No,
but it fully encapsulates it that way.
I think he dances with his mother. They got this real weird sort of Oedipal kind of relationship going on. The main sort of antagonist, the main sort of bad guy, and his mother, they're these cat people, Stephen King, but sleepwalkers, and he's kind of, they're sort of plotting to just kill all the, or to take the blood of this virgin in the town or something like that.
Right.
And there's just something real dark about it. And he's just slow dancing with his mother to that song. They've got an intimate relationship. It's pretty gross. Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, Tom. I do not like horror movies or thriller movies.
I'm going to watch it after this, straight up.
Really? I just couldn't do it. I can't do it.
Nah, I'm going to go and watch that.
I'm a big wuss, man, when it comes to that sort of thing. I really can't. I really can't do it.
Yeah. I'm definitely not that awesome with it. I just like seeing some interesting special effects.
Although in saying that, I started watching Stranger Things the other night, and I'm really, really enjoying it.
That's real good.
Awesome.
Yeah, and have you been reminded of our conversations around those? It was the last episode, right? We started talking about the Stranger Things theme.
So like and then it's sort of like all clicked into place, actually, ironically, like after we talked about it, and then after watching Stranger Things, it's like, oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Really encapsulates, It does such a good job.
Yeah, real nostalgic. It's good.
Incredibly nostalgic. And considering that it's, the actual theme of it's like it's modern written.
Yeah,
but they've nailed it, with that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. I was just trying to think of some more songs that were influenced by crimes or vice versa.
Well, there's that Polly by Nirvana.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, I was talking about that one where I think he's read a news article about a girl that was abducted, and that was, I think the details of the abduction came out, and it was sort of slightly fed into this Nirvana song, Polly.
Yeah, okay.
It was quite horrific, actually, when you think about it.
Yeah, there's got to be a few. We'll see if we can think of some more. But in the meantime, should we talk a little bit about this drop that we're trying to?
Yeah, please, Tom. Why don't you introduce this one? Because it's quite a special drop this evening.
Well, we are talking about crime, and I guess this sort of has got a bit of a tie to crimes upon the high seas. Would that be right? This is a special mix that was given to me by a good friend of mine. Hello Sarah, if you're listening. And it was a Secret Santa present, but and so there was many of us in the room, but she cracked pretty much immediately because I was trying to running around figuring out who gave it to me, because it was such a thoughtful gift. It's this kind of random 14% watered down alcoholic kind of mess called Pirate Pete and Captain Thomas Chew. I don't know if you can get it outside of New Zealand, but essentially it's rum essence and water with some alcohol sprinkled on top and some raspberries too.
I'm anticipating some quite heady bouquet of this.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Are you thinking summer fields here? Are you getting your seasonal feel, do you think, from this?
Well, when I first smell it, it reminds me of this series of spirits that we used to drink when we were younger. We've spoken about these before, right?
Well, like Bully Hayes, Mad Jacks.
Yeah, Mad Jacks and stuff. So this is kind of similar because they were mostly that 14% kind of line, and it basically tastes like water with alcohol added, and a few flavourings. So we can give this a go. And so take your glass here, and then let's give it a sniff and tell me what comes to my cheers. Oh, cheers.
Cheers.
Okay.
Well, I'm getting a bit of raspberry.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that Schweppes raspberry, the fizz. That you feel that you're drinking it and then your stomach's going to just corrode from the inside.
Yeah. Okay, let's take a sip.
All right, here we go. Oh yeah, straight away I'm getting water on the nose.
I think you'll be able to happily polish the whole bottle. You'll be a write-off, but it's only 14%, so it's kind of like it's a good night. It's a good night if you're a young man.
If you would, it's kind of like very similar alcohol content to a bottle of wine, right?
Yeah.
What's a bottle of wine? It's like 11.
Yeah.
So there's only 3% above. Yeah, thereabouts. It comes in stages, do you think? I get the beginning, on the very first thing I get in my palate is water, then like very fake raspberry.
And then reflux, yeah.
And then, then my lantern. So, and I get a tiny bit of rum right at the end.
Yeah, because it's,
Three phaser.
I don't know how happy I'd be about pillaging on the 7 Seas.
Well, up until
This was
recently,
a reward at the end, but
up until recently, the Navy still gave a rum ration.
really,
Yeah, it was a thing.
true.
They used to have a rum and a tobacco ration.
Why rum?
I think it was. Oh, I don't even know why rum.
Oh, because what's it made out of?
Sugar cane.
So Caribbean. Hey.
Of course.
Yeah, true.
Oh, and that's why you kind of get the pirate and the Caribbean and the rum and the
Yeah,
you've got it fermenting in barrels on board. Yeah,
true.
but I've got no idea how the Navy comes into that. Maybe it's because when they pillaged a pirate ship on the high seas, they took their rum ration.
Yeah, maybe we could. Man, we should find that out. It's quite interesting.
Alcohol in the armed forces, or just alcohol in
Just how rum became synonymous with pirates.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. But then how can we tie that in with music, Tom?
Singing shanties.
Shanties.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
shanties.
Shanties, rum,
Military music, military songs. Yeah. Wow.
that's great. Well, hey, look, it's lovely.
Yeah.
It's no Cavoisier, but it's it's delicious nonetheless.
Yeah. I'm not going to go buying it out at the start of the next lockdown, but this will hold the pride of place in my liquor cabinet for some time.
I think they should be right at the front.
Yeah, ready to serve to people who don't know any better when they come around to visit.
Like your kids.
Yeah, well, actually, I made a joke about it. So if I leave it in the liquor cabinet and then watch it slowly go down, is when my kids come of age, when they're teenagers, when they decide to try and sneak a little bit off the top of bottles of that kind of stuff, like we all did.
You'll go to drink it next time, and it will just be like really old tea.
Oh my God, yeah.
Oh yeah, I see what's happened here.
If they're really clever, they make it like a raspberry herbal tea.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be proud. They do me proud. I'd have to chuckle, I think, if that happened. Okay, so thank you for that one, Sarah. Great stuff.
Thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah.
Thoroughly enjoyed.
I'll give it a 5 stars.
Out of
25.
But
But it's worth it. Yeah.
definitely, I think just for the comedy value, it's good.
Yeah, I think so too. I think there's a lot of thought put into it with the name.
Definitely.
So back to this, the true crime. Back to the more serious note of the true crime.
Drop it right down now.
I need to apologise. Can we end on a high note? Can we end on a
crime that's been
a jolly note?
is really uplifting,
perhaps. Yeah,
like a Ronnie Biggs type thing that he gave to schools afterwards or something.
Yeah, is it like a Robin Hood type story with regards to this kind of thing?
Nothing springing to mind.
I'm trying to think now, but no, nothing springs to mind.
No, it's generally a downer type topic. Although I'd like to hear more of this. Like, if there are any like jazzy stories from from China and the mainland.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anything exciting there? Was there, you know?
In my personal experience.
Yeah, your personal experience.
Well, lots of good, exciting stuff.
Come on.
But I think that with regards to, I mean, there was one instance where I guess someone I was with kind of trashed their hotel room.
Yeah.
Yeah. But just getting too loose. But he did this thing where he, for some reason, he thought it would be a good idea he smashed the window. He smashed the window in his hotel room up high. And I think rather than risking someone coming in and seeing the smashed window, he decided to clear all the glass out so it looked like there was no window there in the first place.
Are you serious?
Yeah, man.
Of a high-rise building?
Yeah, in a high-rise building.
How do you smash that anyway? Because no doubt it would have been like some sort of crazy thick safety glass.
Yeah, God knows. But he did.
You can't even say you put a CRT TV through it because there are no such things as CRT TVs.
Yeah. Well, this is a while ago. This might have been like maybe 2008. But he didn't tell anyone. And so the hotel...
But it's just someone like walk into the room and go, God, it's breezy in here.
Yeah.
Like little curtains. Like,
yeah. Ridiculous, eh? And so, but he was just going along like dum-da-dum-da-dum.
Ding, ding, check. Have you got anything in your room? No, I'm good. I've taken nothing from the minibar.
Yeah, from the minibar, exactly. And so he cleaned it out. He cleaned the window, the glass out, and then he just left his room tidy. So it didn't. It came back to us through the promoter, and so like, did this even happen? Do you guys know anything about this? It was very odd. But I guess this guy
there when I left
just made a crazy decision. It's like, bam, glass is gone. Like,
how big was the window?
I don't know. I was told about it.
Like, I'm imagining like full like floor to ceiling type window, but that can't be right.
I think a little bit smaller. I don't think it was a screen door. I think it was a window where he thought he could just get away with doing that, obviously. So, yeah, I guess that's a kind of a lighter side of that kind of thing. Yeah. A pretty mellow crime, if you will. Yeah.
I just can't. Yeah, that's crazy.
Bizarre, eh?
It is bizarre.
Yeah. Anyway, well, should we call it there?
Yeah.
It's been fun, and I think maybe we can try to aim for the next one by finding something that's a little bit more of one of these funnier crimes that we're sort of trying to get at.
You know what? I found it very informative though, Tom, because there's quite a few things that you've said tonight that I had no idea about. That Marvin Gaye story was great. That was
likewise with the Sid Vicious and the Phil Spector. I'm going to go and immediately Google lots of Phil Spector hairstyles after this.
You should.
Yeah, they look really good. It looks like that's where the Simpsons creators got the inspiration for Marge's sisters, actually, to be honest.
I think he actually did appear on one of the Simpsons episodes.
Oh, true.
Yeah. Maybe not as, like as a parody, and I don't think he voiced it because he would have been in prison by that stage.
Really amazing show.
Yeah. The Simpsons, they've got their fingers on the pulse, always.
Man. Oh, always.
Matt Groening. Yeah.
Cool, man. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure, and thank you for listening, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, until next time.
Cheers,
See you later.
Tom.
Bye.
Bye.